All right, we are now recording. Welcome everyone to the first OPT workshop of the spring semester. If you don't know me already, my name is Vivian. I am one of the advisors in the ISSO, and I primarily work with the OPT and STEM OPT students. So moving forward, I will be your main point of contact. This spring workshop is one of two. As I said a little bit ago, we will be having our second workshop in person in March. And this recording will be uploaded on the ISSO's OPT page right after this. Okay. Please mute yourself if you are not muted already so we can get started. Okay, workshop overview. We'll be going over what OPT is. We'll be going over the application process, so things that you need to know before you apply, the actual OPT application itself, and then what to do after you are submitting your application to USCIS, and after you're approved. So, right now, for you all, the most important pieces of information that we'll be covering are the first three bullet points. That's the most pressing information that you need to know right now. And then the latter half of the workshop is still important, but those are all just like miscellaneous things that you need to know while you're awaiting your OPT approval and while you're on OPT. But right now, what we really want to get into is the bread and butter of the application process. I only have one rule, and that is please wait until the end to ask questions. It can get really distracting, not only for me, but for your peers when I'm trying to get through a really important point and the chat is just constantly blowing up. I promise you we'll have more than enough time at the end for you to ask whatever you need to. But please just hold off on questions, okay? Probably most of your questions will be answered throughout the workshop, which is pretty cool. All right, so first things first, what is OPT? So, OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. It is 12 months of off-campus work authorization that you receive when you complete your degree. So, a lot of students are under the misconception that this is a brand new visa status that you'll be under, but actually, it's just a continuation of your F1 visa. It's a benefit of your F1 visa to be able to apply what you learned during your degree in the field. Your work must be in your field of study at your level of study. So that means if you are like a health and wellness major and you on OPT are trading stocks on Wall Street, that is not connected. That is not in your field of study. So that's an absolute no. So your work must be in your field of study, and it's up to you to connect what you learned in the classroom to what you'll be doing on OPT. A job offer is not necessary to apply. So, for my friends that have applied for CPT, this process is quite different. So, for OPT, you do not need a job offer to apply, which saves you a lot of time to start applying for jobs, start the interview process. So, unlike CPT, you do not need a job offer to apply. Pre-application process. So we'll go over if you're eligible for OPT, when you can start, how to choose your start date, and then for my master's thesis and PhD dissertation students, we have special information just for you. Okay, so OPT eligibility criteria requirements. So you've had to have completed at least 1 year in academic status, in a student status at UNC Charlotte or any other university. So at least one completion of an academic year. You have to be currently in F1 status. And you have to be in your last semester to be able to apply for OPT. Unless you are a master's thesis or PhD student, you are eligible to apply for OPT once you've completed all of your coursework. When to apply. So when I go in and process your OPT I-20, we will shorten your I-20 end date to show May 8th. That is just your graduation date for OPT purposes. So if you are eligible to apply 90 days before May 8th, that means that the earliest date that you can submit is February 7th. Okay, that's the earliest date that you can submit to USCIS. The ISSO's OPT I-20 request application will not be open until this Friday. Okay. And we do that because we don't want you to apply too early, because if you apply before those 90 days, you will get denied. So that's why we kind of have that in place so you can apply right in that window. The latest that you can apply is 60 days after your program end date, though we do not recommend it, but every student has a different situation. So the latest that you can apply for OPT would be July 6th. USCIS processing usually takes about 90 days, and sometimes longer. So just be aware of that. Okay, so OPT start date. Let me just move this. So like I said, May 8th is your graduation date. So your OPT start date, or when you're able to start working on OPT, has to be within 60 days of your program completion. Okay. So you'll see right here the earliest OPT start date is May 9th. And the latest OPT start date that you can pick is July 7th. Okay. So I'm sure you can see here we have riskier start date and safer start date. What we mean by riskier, we just mean that not that if you're going to get approved or not, it's just will you be approved in time to start working by then. So, depending on when you apply, late May, early June might be riskier to choose as a start date. Um, Safer option would be late June, early July. Okay, but it all matters when you apply. I will say that students that apply right when the application window opens in February, the first few weeks of February tend to get approved rather quickly. Um, I've seen students be approved within 2 or 3 weeks when they apply in February. But just remember, the longer you wait in the semester to apply for OPT, the longer your processing times are going to be. So, for example, we have students that applied late November that still haven't had their OPT approved from last semester. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Choosing your OPT start date can be pretty complex. So just remember that average processing time is 90 days for USCIS. Things to consider, maybe you haven't started the interview process yet. Maybe you haven't started the job search yet. Maybe your employer has a background check that you have to pass that may take an extra month to be approved. Consider going back home for a few weeks, taking time to rest. Um, Take it from me, working full time is not fun. So in the time between graduation and when you start working in the real world, definitely take some time off. Okay, you deserve it. You've worked really hard during your degree. The ISSO staff cannot make this decision for you, so don't come into my office and be like, Vivian, what start date should I pick? It's really up to you. Just because your friends are choosing a specific start date doesn't mean that that start date is best for you, okay? Like I said before, every student has a different circumstance, so um, what may be right for you is not right for your friend, and that does not make it wrong. Any start date within those 60 days is good when you take into consideration all of the following things we just went over. So just remember, your requested start date has to be within 60 days of your program completion date. The start date is the date that your permission to work begins. So you cannot work earlier than your start date, but you can start working later. So let's just say your start date is June 1st, but your EAD card and OPT are approved like April 15th. You cannot start working earlier than your start date. You have to wait until your start date arrives. It is impossible to change your OPT start date after your application has been submitted to USCIS. We also will not reissue your I-20 once you have requested your OPT I-20 with a start date, okay? We are not in the business of continuing to just reissue I-20s. That's why it's very important that you take the time needed to really think out what start date is best for you. Because once you submit it to the ISSO, we are not going to change it. Premium processing. So, I'm sure most of you have heard this by now. There is something called premium processing. What that means is if you pay the $1,780 fee, so I'm pretty sure starting in March, it's going to be $1,780 before right now it's like 1675 or something. Anyways, they upped it $100. Plus the $470 fee, which is the I-765P. For $2,250, USCIS will promise to give you a response within 30 days. Okay. I always recommend students have a conversation with me first before they apply for premium processing because once we sit down and look at your timeline, you may not even really need to pay all that money. So just give it some careful thought. I'm always open to have a conversation, or if you want to email me or come to my office during advising, I'm happy to look at your timeline with you to see if you really need to pay all that much money. OPT start date. So here are just two examples for you to kind of see how it can play out. So, Normet chooses the last possible OPT start date, which is July 7th. She doesn't have a job offer and is worried it may take a while to find one. She wants to rest a little bit between studying and work, which is completely fine and normal. And she just doesn't trust USCIS to process her application within average time. What happens to Normet if USCIS actually issues her EAD card a few weeks before her start date? So her start date will still be, sorry, this should be a 7. It will still be 7/7/2026, but she cannot start working until she has that EAD card in her hand and the start date has arrived. So luckily for her, she may have gotten a job quicker than she expected, but she cannot start working until 7/7. Norm, on the other hand, has chosen the following dates. May 8th, which is the very first start date that you can choose. If Norm applies early and everything goes perfectly, then he's good to go to start working then. But what happens to Norm if USCIS actually issues his EAD card on July 1st? So USCIS might not edit the EAD card to reflect the delayed issuance date. But Norm can't work until he has that EAD card in his hand and the start date has passed. So the employer might be put off by the delay and even rescind the offer, but I will say in my almost 10 years of working with F1 students, employers are pretty understanding and flexible if you just, give them ample notice and let them know your situation. So um, you have seen what choosing an early start date can be and choosing a late start date can be. So I hope one of you has watched The Emperor's New Groove, an old school Disney movie. But here we have Kronk. He has a devil and angel on his shoulder. So the devil is saying, like, hey, don't you want to start working right away and making money? Like, you should make the start date right after graduation. And then you have the angel saying, you should play it safe and choose a start date with a little more cushion. Don't you want to rest? So This is usually the conversations that I have in my office with students. So just remember that every student has a different circumstance when it comes to choosing your start date. All right, for my master's thesis and PhD dissertation students, this is applicable only to you. So you all have flexibility in your OPT start date. You are eligible to apply for OPT upon completion of your coursework. All that we ask is that your defense date should be scheduled within the first 6 months of your proposed OPT start date. And just note that once we shorten your program end date and you apply for OPT, all on-campus employment stipends, university health insurance that is paid for through GASP ends by your OPT start date. So something to keep in mind. And really, it's up to the discretion of the ISSO and your advisor to see if this is the right fit for you, or if we think that you need more time to complete your dissertation or thesis and then apply for OPT afterwards. Time management challenges. So I'm sure you all know it is a full-time job writing a thesis or dissertation. Okay. So just think about having an actual full-time job on top of that. It can get really challenging for some students. Um, but just know that we cannot extend your I-20 for more time to complete your thesis or dissertation. All right. And we have that 6 month rule in place because you cannot apply for your STEM extension without a copy of your diploma, which, if you do not defend your thesis or dissertation, you will not be getting conferred a diploma yet. Um, and you absolutely need that to apply for um, your STEM extension. I have had students in the past not defend their thesis or dissertation in time, and they miss the window for their STEM extension, which we don't want that to happen to you, but it does happen. All right. How to begin the OPT process. So, number one is you are going to apply online through your ISSO portal. In order to do this, you have to know your start date. And you also have to input your academic advisor's information so they can submit a recommendation. So this can be your academic advisor, it can be your program advisor, program coordinator, someone that has access to your degree works and can confirm that yes, you are maintaining progress towards your degree, and yes, you are graduating this semester. A lot of students think that by recommendation, we mean that your academic advisor, whoever, has to write like a letter of recommendation, but that is not the case. They will just be getting an email from our office and they'll have to check off like two or three boxes to say, yes, I know the student, yes, they're graduating. And that is basically what their recommendation consists of. Sign up for an OPT review session after you submit your ISSO I-20 request. The OPT review session is the most valuable thing that we can give to you and that we offer you. In that review session, I go step by step on every single question of the online I-765. Um, and we'll also have a Q&A after that. So this is a great chance for you to ask whatever questions you may have before you actually submit to USCIS. These reviews are done over Zoom twice a week, usually Wednesdays and Fridays. Sometimes I have to change it around if my schedule doesn't allow. But it is truly, truly so valuable that you attend that. It's not mandatory, but highly, highly recommended. And the students that get denied for OPT every semester are the ones that do not attend an OPT review session. So please take advantage of that. 5 business days is the processing time for OPTI 20s. I am the only person that processes these, so please be patient with me, especially during like peak times where I'm processing like 20 a day. I promise you, you will get it within those 5 business days. I usually try to turn them around within like 24 to 48 hours, but please don't email me asking where your OPTI 20 is. I promise you, if it's in my queue, you will get it. There is a $470 fee to apply for OPT. Some students weren't aware of that, so you can pay by debit or credit card, or if you have your bank account number and routing number, you can also pay through that. Okay. And like I said, in the OPT review, we'll go over everything you need to know about the OPT application. You do have to submit within 30 days of when I issue your I-20, but I'm not going to get into the weeds of that because we'll go over it in the OPT review session. Okay, so you have applied for OPT, your I-20, you've submitted it to USCIS. What do you do now while you're waiting for your approval? All right, so that is what your EAD card will look like. Sometimes there are issues with your EAD card. For example, maybe a typo. Um, Maybe your birthday is wrong, or just any other like general typo. Take a look at it when you receive your EAD card. If there's a typo on your EAD card, let me know, so we can kind of see how to move forward with that. Either it was your mistake or USCIS's mistake, and they have been making mistakes lately, which is annoying for you. It's annoying for me. So hopefully they get a better handle on that this semester. Your EAD card is government mail, federal mail, so it cannot be forwarded to another address. If you are changing your address after you submit your OPT application, let me know and I'll let you know how you can easily change your address so your EAD card goes to that new address. The look of the EAD card is changing, so it used to look something like this. Now it kind of looks like this. I guess the bald eagle is more prominent, but both of these are valid. Okay, so don't freak out if your friend got this version and you got this one. They're both valid. Okay, I'm just letting you know that um, precautionary. Okay, managing stress. All right, so some good ideas to manage the stress. I have been in your shoes. I know what it's like to graduate and you're getting pressure from your parents to start looking for a job or like what your next move is going to be after graduation. But here are some ways to manage stress that are positive. So, exercising, spending time on your hobbies, preparing your resumes and cover letters, and working on interview skills. These things are what our University Career Center excels in. They have resources specifically for international students. So take advantage of that. Okay. They are super, super nice over there. They want you to succeed. They want you to find jobs. So take advantage of that. And even when you are an alum, they're still available to you, all of their resources for free. Okay. Focus on positive things in life. Bad ideas to manage stress that unfortunately I see every day. Checking your case status every day. I promise you there will be no day-to-day updates. There won't even be week-to-week updates. USCIS just moves like a snail. Reading non-credible websites. Do not email me saying that you read a Reddit thread from 7 years ago that said OPT is over and um, just bad, bad things that people just make up without any sources. Um, don't do that. Don't ponder the scary what ifs. Do not listen to friends about immigration issues. Do not ask your friends immigration questions. Do not ask ChatGPT immigration advice, please. I just had a student come in last week and because what he followed on ChatGPT immigration wise, he's in trouble. So please do not do that. Come to us. I consider myself pretty approachable. So come to my office, come to advising hours, email me. If you have a question about anything, feel free to ask me. That's what we're all here for. Even if you don't get me in advising, everyone on staff will be able to answer your questions. Okay, so just let's keep a positive mindset. Okay, so while on OPT, for the most part, you don't have to memorize all this stuff right now. Once you graduate, I will send like a mass email to every student that applied for OPT this semester with all this information in it. Okay. So reporting requirements. So once you're on OPT, you will get access to what's called an SCVP portal. So this right here. This is basically how the government will start tracking you to see like what you're up to on OPT. So this is where you'll enter any employer information, any personal address changes or phone number changes. You will enter all of this information right here, okay? And you will receive the link within 2 weeks of your start date. So things to report in your SAVP portal. So, like I said, if you move, if your phone number changes, you have to report that. Anytime you start or end any kind of employment, you also have to report that. If your office location changes, you also have to report that. All of these reports have to be made within 10 days, okay? If you do not report within 10 days, the portal itself will not allow you to make any changes, unfortunately. So please remember within 10 days, you should be updating your SCBP portal. The SCBP portal is your responsibility. It's not handled by me. It's not handled by anyone in the ISSO. So it's up to you to make sure that you are adhering to these reporting requirements. An UI-20 is not generated every time your employment is updated on 12-month OPT. You may have friends from other schools that get an I-20 every time they change employers. That's not mandated by immigration regulations, so we don't do it. So, no, you will not be getting an UI-20 every time you update your SCVP portal. All right, unemployment days. Um, so I'm sure most of you know, but you do get 90 days of unemployment time during your 12 months of OPT. Okay, so that is 90 days within those 12 months. It's not an extra 90 days to the 12 months. Okay, and your unemployment time starts ticking down right away from the date of your start date if you do not have a job starting on your start date, okay? OPT employment must be 20 plus hours per week in your field. So 20 plus hours for OPT purposes is considered full time. Unpaid internships, self-employment, paid employment, those are all permissible on OPT. You are allowed to have more than one employer on OPT, so don't think that you're stuck with the same employer on OPT. Sometimes it's not a good fit. So you do have those 90 days to kind of serve as a cushion for you while you're figuring out what you want to do. But yes, you can change employers on 12-month OPT. Employment offer letters, students think they need to upload that in your SCVP portal, but you do not. But it is good to just have for personal filing purposes, just to have proof that, yes, I did work at this company um, for a year, and this is the duties that I did. Okay. Um, you cannot be unemployed for more than 90 days. That is a violation of your status. Um, so please have a conversation with me if you are approaching those 90 days of unemployment time so we can figure out what your next move is. But yes, you do get 90 days of unemployment time, and you don't have to use it all in one um, sitting. So if you want to use like 3 weeks during like the beginning of your OPT and then use like a month, 6 months later, you can do that. Traveling outside the US on OPT, pretty much the same process as an enrolled student as you all are now. Um, Same necessary documents except two additions. So one is your EAD card. You cannot travel outside the US and re-enter on OPT without proof of that EAD card. Okay. Valid passport, at least 6 months into the future. That's just a good general rule of thumb, especially because you don't know when you might need to travel. Valid F1 visa stamp. So if your F1's expired, you can still apply for OPT. You can still stay in the US in valid F1 status. But if you were to leave after F1 is expired, you will have to get a new visa stamp. Your I-20 as an enrolled student, your travel signature on that is valid for 12 months. But on OPT, your travel signature is actually valid for only 6 months. And you can easily apply for a travel signature in your ISSO portal, and we'll just electronically upload it. We also suggest having an employment offer letter when you're re-entering the US, just to show that yes, you're employed and this is the employer, these are the duties that you're doing. Okay. Can you study while on OPT? So generally the answer is no, you cannot. You cannot start a part-time degree program. You cannot start a brand new higher level program. If the US government finds out that you are studying full time while on OPT, they will terminate your EAD card, which is obviously bad. You shouldn't be studying while you're on OPT. OPT is for work, not study. If for whatever reason you do want to start a brand new program and your OPT short or your OPT is over and you're transferring to another program or another university, we're more than happy to facilitate that for you. Just let us know, okay? Um, if you need to get any like certifications for your job, like a Series 7 exam, that is completely fine. That's not like a degree program, that's just like a certification. So you should be fine doing that. Paying taxes. So it is tax season. Yuck. Um, We are not experts in the ISSO about taxes, okay? You don't want to ask me any questions about taxes because my parents do my taxes still. We are not certified accountants, we're not CPAs, so we cannot fully answer questions about taxes, but um, yes, you will pay taxes. Um, Federal and state taxes will be withheld, but if you've been less than 5 years in F1 status, these aren't withheld, so just be aware of that. Check for accuracy on your first paycheck. Make sure that your name is right, your social security number is correct, because when it does come to tax season and you just realize that, your name is misspelled on your paycheck, it's going to be quite annoying to try and fix that. So just be aware of that. And actually, the ISO just sent out our tax codes that are for purchase. Make friends with your human resources manager. If you have any questions about taxes, reach out to them. Do not reach out to us because, like I said, we're very, very limited on what we can answer for you. Okay, don't worry, guys. We're almost done. I know this is super painful to get through. Well, so let's just say your OPT is ending. What can you do? What are your options? So you do have a grace period for up to 60 days after your EAD card is expired, to stay in the US if you want to travel around. But once you leave the US, you are not re-entering again in F1 status. As I said previously, if you want to transfer your F1 record to another university, we're happy to do that. Every time you earn a higher degree, you get 12 more months of OPT. Cap gap and STEM extension, I'm not going to go into because we're a ways away from that. But you do have the option to apply for your STEM extension. And it's pretty much very similar to the um, I-765 that you'll be filling out for 12-month OPT with a few other changes. Okay. All right, last slide. So, just the ISSO's information for you to take away. Um, Advising hours, you guys know that we have 4 days of advising, 2 days in person, 2 days phone. Phone advising is really there for our OPT and STEM OPT students, especially if you're no longer in the Charlotte area and you still want to speak to an advisor. You are able to. OPT review will be on Zoom those 2 days every single week, and they will be starting next Wednesday. You can email me. You all have my email address now, from the Zoom link, so feel free to email me about any questions about OPT. Um, Please only email one ISSO staff member regarding the same question. Do not email both Dylan and I, regarding the same question. You may think that you'll get an answer quicker, but actually you won't because we have to cross-check to see, hey, did you already answer the student's email? So please just email one ISSO staff member um, at a time. Okay. Workshop feedback. If you want to scan this and give us some feedback regarding the workshop, we are more than happy to listen. We're here to serve you all, so let us know what you liked or disliked about this workshop. Do you wish it was in person? Um, whatever your heart desires, you can ask, or, well, yeah, you can ask for in this workshop feedback, okay? And it is anonymous, so if you hated this, don't worry, I won't know. All right, we are going to open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please write in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. If you have a very case-specific question, so something that really only applies to you, just email me so I can take a look at your record, and give the appropriate amount of time to it. Okay? All right, let's see. All right. Let's see. My OPT end date is July 7th, or my OPT's, I don't know what you mean by end date or start date. Does this mean I can begin working on, for example, August 8th, as long as my OPT end date is not later than...
Sorry, start date. If it's
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, so you can work on August 8th, that's no problem. You just will accrue the 30 days of unemployment time out of your 90.
Uh, does that mean that if a postdoctoral position is 1 year,
Mhm.
uh, can I end it in like August 8th of the next year or
Yes,
uh,
if you apply for your STEM extension, if you're eligible for your STEM extension.
where I can find that information if I'm eligible?
On the ISSO STEM OPT page.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. My passport expired last month. I applied for a new one. Will receive shortly. Can I request for OPT I-20 before I get my new passport or wait till I get it? I would just wait until you get it just because you have to submit your OPT app within 30 days of when I issue your I-20. So who knows? You may not get your passport for another 30 days, but I would just wait. How common is pre-completion OPT? Great question. It is not common at all, especially on our campus. We do not really approve pre-completion OPT. Most students choose not to go that route because it will take away time from your post-completion OPT. Hi, Janine. Yeah, you can, this is my email, so feel free to email me. If you have a pending I-140, does that affect your OPT application? It does not. Hafsa, can you email me that, please? Just because that's really case specific. Someone asked, can I know what is that 90 days of unemployment time during OPT? So, yeah, we just went over that. So, you do get 90 days of unemployment time within your 12 months of OPT. So, that kind of serves as a cushion in case you need more time to find a job or you're in between jobs. And it's up to you to keep track of those 90 days. Do the current immigration policies affect OPT, that is, countries on the partial or complete ban? So, great question. So, we don't know for sure yet, but our office is following instructions to just have students apply in case those bans get reversed or there are pending lawsuits regarding that. So our office is going ahead and just telling students, we recommend that you apply for OPT either way. Okay, I want to transition. Should I apply for I-20 with start date May 8th also, or Monday, May 11th? I would probably do Monday, May 11th, but you'd have to talk with HR, regarding, do they need you to have a start date like May 9th, or is May 11th okay? If you apply in February, you will not need to apply for premium processing. If I apply for OPT and complete my program in the spring semester, does the following summer semester still count as full-time F1 study, or will I be considered on OPT status only once my OPT start date begins? If you're completing your program in the spring, you should not be enrolled in the summer. Do I have to submit my thesis defense date to ISSO? Um, I mean, your advisor in the notes can write that you're planning to defend on a certain date, but for the most part, no. I graduated in August, starts August 8th. I'm a PhD student in the dissertation. Was the earliest I could apply for OPT? Can I do that sooner than the 90 days? Um, how about you email me? Can you please go over again the safer period to apply for OPT? So, guys, remember, by safer, I don't mean that you're not going to get approved. It's just you might not get approved in time, depending on when you apply. All right. Okay. So you'll see here your start dates. Okay. So your start dates are May 8th, or sorry, May 9th to July 7th. So if you apply this month for your OPT, you can choose pretty much whatever start date you want because, like I said, the trend is students that typically apply within the first month of the application window tend to get approved faster. If my H-1B is applied by company in this March, while I still didn't graduate with my OPT end. Um, so I can't really answer any H-1B questions, unfortunately. Yes, of course. The slideshow will be posted. on the ISSO's OPT page. Let me show you that. So if you just Google ISSO OPT, this is our OPT page. This is where the online recording will be posted. And then the spring workshop slides are already posted right here. Okay, so that's at your convenience. If my F1 visa stamp is expired, would I need to get a new stamp even with an EAD card? Yes, if you were to leave the country after your F1 expires, you are still eligible to renew your F1 visa. You just need to have your EAD card. Would the ISSO consider pre-completion OPT? Definitely come to advising, so we can all lay out your options for you, okay? That's not a dumb question. Yes, you can apply for OPT on Friday and still put July 7th as your start date. A lot of students will do that. If I had a crystal ball, that's what I'm predicting. Um, how can we sign up for the OPT Zoom review? So yeah, once you submit your I-20 request to the ISSO portal, you'll get a direct link to sign up for the Zoom. Yeah, you don't need to send, so you can send your EAD card to anyone. So we'll go over this in the review session, but if you don't know where you're going to be because your lease is up or you're moving, you can send your EAD card to someone with a permanent address. That can be a friend or a relative, whatever you want. Any more questions while you have my undivided attention? Are my OPT caterpillars ready to spread their wings and become OPT butterflies? That was supposed to be a joke, so I hope someone laughed. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, thank you all for attending. I hope you got something out of this. Um, like I said, this YouTube recording will be posted right after this, but good luck, everyone. I know we'll talk soon, so you know where to reach me if you need me, but um, happy first day back from the snowstorm, and I'm sure I will see you all soon. All right?
Excuse me. Can
Yeah.
I do the last question? So the first step is just going to be apply for the OPT through the ISSO, which is going to be open this Friday, or can we just go ahead and just apply now?
On Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Keep it real, and we will talk very, very soon. See ya.